Hello, everyone, and welcome to the It's in Queens podcast, covering events in the borough, basically around the Martin Luther King weekend, which is basically January 17th to 23rd. However, we have a special guest with us. It's not Chris Donovan, who's all the way over on the other side.
I'm not special in any way,
from the
shape, or
Daily
form.
News, who's a co-sponsor of this podcast. It's actually Taryn Sacramone, who's sitting right here between the two of us. Taryn is the executive and artistic director of the Queen's Theater. And in fact, if you look behind us, you'll see that we're at the Queen's Theater. One of the only times that it's not filled, the only time it's not standing room only is when we're doing this podcast here. Taryn, first of all, Taryn has been nominated or officially hired as the guest host of the podcast, the permanent guest host, which is a triple oxymoron.
Right.
Permanent guest host, which is to say that every time either Chris or I are on vacation or sick, Taryn will be filling in for one of us. So, Taryn,
it's been something I've been working towards for a long time. I'm thrilled.
This must feel kind of like. Do you want to give like an Oscar speech, or what is this?
I love both of you. I love Queens. I love cultural organizations here. So
win.
Yeah,
exactly. Is it fair to say that you pretty much moved to New York from the small town in Ohio that you grew up with
to
pursue your
dream? Guest host of the It's in Queens podcast.
Wow.
That would not be an understatement.
You see, New York. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
That's right.
Anyway, Taryn, tell us a little bit about what's coming up at Queen's Theater.
Oh, sure. If you haven't been to Queen's Theater, we're a performing arts center in Flushing Meadows, Corona Park. We have 3 theater spaces within our building. We're steps away from the Unisphere, very close to our neighbors, the Queens Museum. Free parking, shuttle from the 7 train. Have to say all of those things.
Absolutely.
Okay, we got it.
Yeah, get it out
free
there.
Parking.
Next up, we have a dance show. We have Momix coming, and this is.
I saw the photos for Momix.
Yeah, Momix is unbelievable. It's dance. It's highly theatrical. It's illusion. So anybody who likes not just dance but the visual arts, it's very theatriral.
So the photo that I saw they're doing things with light and they're dancing with light, so they play tricks on your vision.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Okay.
And it all just comes. But it's not. They will do different pieces. The program that they're doing is called Viva Momix, and it's kind of taking highlights from some of their most famous programs and putting it into one program. And so it's kind of a highlights reel, right, of Momix.
It's a
sizzle reel of Momix.
He's in the industry.
If you haven't seen them before, it's really like one of these. You feel transported. You really do. Somewhere else, and it's
totally
a
going
very
to that.
popular.
I'm
Yeah, you
going
are
to that
going
and
to
taking
that.
my wife,
It
taking
really
my
is.
kids.
It really is really
Fantastic.
special. So
Where'd you find them?
Where did I find? You know what? It's interesting. When I started here, that had been programmed by my predecessor, and so when I started here, that was one of the first things that he had scheduled it. So I started here, and then I saw that show, and it blew me away.
Like, you have to have them back.
Yeah, to have them back. And that was 5 years ago. It's been 5 I've been at Queen's Theater 5 years, so it's been 5 years since they were here. Oh, wow. And audience members every year will say to me, when is Momix coming back? And I'm like happy that this year I've had an answer. You know, they're going to be here in February.
Fantastic. I also have, you understand that you have basically the Chinese version of American Idol coming here this weekend.
Yeah, is that this weekend?
Yeah, that's
this
weekend.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. But that's actually not that they're renting this from you. Yes. It's not an official Queen's Theater program.
Have. You know what?
You can still get tickets and come here, and they'll be filming. The singing is in Chinese, but it's kind of the Chinese version of American Idol.
You know what? I was saying to somebody recently. We have rentals. We have companies that come and they produce their own events on our stage. But it's really like community-generated programming. We have all of these exciting things that happen from community members producing their own events, we've had on this stage where we're filming this, we've had everything, from beauty pageants to martial arts to ballroom dance competitions. Martial arts, we had people built cages in here and did martial arts competitions.
You mean
MMA?
World Wrestling?
The
MMA, mixed martial arts.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do that.
So you end up with this amazing mix, and you could have something like that happening at the same time that Titan is downstairs producing Shakespeare, and that we've got a reading of a new work happening in the cabaret, and so there's just some nights.
You have three
we have
3 performance spaces, right?
We do, and so when all of those are being used in really diverse ways, It's just really exciting, right?
Yeah.
And you'll see a lobby full of people that are all there for different reasons,
Yeah.
and it's kind of amazing.
Take us to one more thing. What's going on? That's February's Momix,
Yeah.
and then you got something in March too, right?
Oh yeah, I mean February we also have the School of American Ballet is going to come and do a ballet show. That's a free show for family audiences. That's towards the end of February, which is cool.
That's
very
very
cool. And then in March, Ballet Nepantla is going to be performing here. We're presenting them for the first time. And they're a cool company. The woman that started it, Andrea, she was actually a Momix dancer for many years.
Look at that.
And she ended up falling in love with Mexican folkloric dance,
Well,
which
who
is
hasn't?
what she was Mexican American, but hadn't really had gone the way of training and traveling with a contemporary dance company, and then sort of rediscovered her love for Mexican folkloric dance and teamed up with a choreographer. And now she has a company called Ballet Nepantla that combines ballet, contemporary, and Mexican folkloric dance. And she's doing a program here, one performance only, March 2nd, and I'm just really looking forward to that.
Give us one more. Give us one more before we start the run
there's
of.
so many things that we
what else
have
is happening
going
in March?
on.
In March,
well, you know what?
because-
I'm going to give a shout out to Titan, who's going to be producing Hamlet. Well, first of all, they're doing Cyrano and Cyrano De
Titan Theater
Bergerac
Company is they're actually Woodside based. They're a theater company that is the artist in residence here at Queen's Theater, and
That's right.
they mostly do Shakespeare plays, and they just had a very successful Christmas Carol run, correct?
They did.
They actually sold out like 7 of their shows. Or
Yeah,
something.
they did. Yeah, it was, people
and
were
they're going to
crazy
come
about it.
back and do
They're doing Cyrano De Bergerac in February.
Cyrano De Bergerac
and
in
they're
February.
Doing,
Okay.
Hamlet.
Hamlet, okay.
Hamlet.
Cyrano de
after that.
Bergerac is the one. That's the guy. The guy who was writing love letters. What's the story again? He was
Big
writing
nose.
love letters for someone else,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
and the woman falls in love
Think
with
of
the
the
guy.
Steve Martin movie, Roxanne.
That's my reference.
know.
That is so. I'm such a pop culture.
That's what you were
yeah,
thinking
absolutely.
of. I knew that's what Chris was thinking of.
All
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
this is what 18th century France or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think.
All right. So as you
Why
can
not?
see,
Let's go with it.
as you can see, there's
Facts never got in our way at this
right,
podcast.
right. Okay, maybe it's
And they
yeah.
and they have Hamlet, and then this time Hamlet's going to be played by a woman.
Oh, Hamlet's
Ooh,
well, they
look
had
at that.
Christmas Carol. Both the main male parts were played by women.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're really they do that. That's great.
Yeah,
It's only fair because in Shakespeare's time, all the women parts were played by men. So let's.
that's true. It's payback.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
That's
payback.
right.
Time's
Yeah.
up for you male actors.
That's right.
Anyway, as you can see, there's a lot going on at Queen's Theater and queenstheater.org. They spell theater
Properly.
the proper way.
R.E..
R.E., the British way, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
Queens, THEATRE.org.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Right. Find out more. As you can see, they got a lot going on. Anyway, let's talk about what we have this week. It's actually not a supercharged week.
Not a ton.
In Queens, but we
Right.
have some stuff going on. It's Martin Luther King's birthday
Right.
this Monday, and the Kupferberg Center for the Arts, which is based in Queens College and uses the Colden Auditorium, they do an annual tribute to Martin Luther King, and they always bring in like pretty good, well-known African American acts, and they make a program. They also give an award to somebody.
That's right.
This year they're bringing in the Dance Theater of Harlem,
Which is
which
incredibly-
is top notch.
Right.
It's a hell of a get, as they say,
Absolutely.
right? And they
You
will
gotta put in
be.
your ask for that very early.
Yeah,
on, I believe, right?
and they're actually they're going to be giving an award to I don't think she's the executive director. She's the artistic director, something like that, of the Dance Theater of Harlem, who's been
Nice.
there forever.
That's great.
So
beautiful.
there'll be a program, and then the dance, of course, will be honoring Martin Luther King. So
And that's on
That's
Sunday?
kind of good. That is on Sunday,
The 20th.
January 20th
Right.
at 4:00, and I have 4 tickets.
Look at
Ooh.
you.
Who's
Yes,
bragging?
sir. Yeah, not to brag or
Humble
anything,
brag.
but you guys don't have any.
I believe I can rectify that with a
Yeah,
phone
yeah,
call,
yeah,
but-
exactly.
So I'm not here to poo-poo on your parade.
They're actually, I was looking into it. There are a lot of smaller Martin Luther King celebrations, especially like the AMA Church in Jamaica has a big
Sure.
thing going on. But the one that I can remember, the other one that I can mention that's going through a major Queens venue is the Jamaica Performing Arts Center is putting on something called Crick Crack, which is actually Caribbean. But it's part of a Martin Luther King celebration. There's a guy named Michael Manswell who is known for his storytelling, and he tells tremendous stories on the stage while they have dance and song to accompany it.
Do they act out his stories? Is that what's
Yeah,
happening?
basically.
Okay.
So it's a big fun thing with a lot of music, a lot of dance, and a big personality telling stories. So that's kind of
It's
fun.
very
wouldn't you
similar
say?
to
love
the show
storytellers.
that Jon Stewart started. Was You Wrote It, You Watch It, and where people would send him letters, and then they would act out the letters, and then
Oh, really?
that was the whole segment. That was
Oh,
Jon
really?
Stewart's first.
Did you know that
big
Jon
TV
Stewart?
job.
Do you know Jon Stewart's from Forest Hills?
I did know that.
Yes.
Wait,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
His original name is like Scharfenberger or something like that. But yeah, he's originally from Forest Hills, and then when he was young, at some juncture, he moved out to New Jersey.
Yeah, we forgive him.
I don't. All right. Gingerbread Lane. Now, we talked about Gingerbread Lane
Oh,
in
now I'm
That's
past.
at the Hall of Science.
The Hall of Science,
Yeah.
not far from here. I
Within the same park.
I wanted to make sure that my math was correct, so I looked up how many pounds are in a ton, and I did some. Basically, we're talking 3 to 4 tons of gingerbread love
Wow.
are going to
That's
be
a lot of
broken
gingerbread.
down and given away
Yeah.
to anybody who comes.
Can you still eat them?
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're
Completely
still
edible.
edible?
It's a
Yeah.
combination
They never
of.
let them touch it because it sits
Yeah.
behind glass, so it's
Yeah.
not touched by human hands. And the people who do the breaking down are wearing gloves. They put it in a bag, so nobody's
right.
touched
See,
it.
I'm such a that was such a mom question.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there.
It's a huge. Just imagine tons and tons of stores and buildings. There's the Santa Sleigh shop.
That sounds
Right.
amazing.
Stuff like that. All gingerbread
This is a Guinness
houses with
Book
royal
record,
icing.
right?
Guinness Book World Record holder for. It's not the Guinness Book anymore because they got away with the book. They don't
Oh.
do books.
It's
It's
the Guinness
World
website?
Record. Yes, that's what it's called. It's a Guinness World Record holder for biggest gingerbread village ever. And we're talking just imagine
So you just get to do they bust it up?
thousands
Yeah.
of pounds
They just-
of royal icing.
How do
Yeah.
they break it
Yeah.
down?
Hammers.
I have pictures of it. I can
So
show you.
do you watch them
And
break
you
it?
bring.
I
yeah.
never got
Yeah.
there that early. I only
Yeah,
got
and
on.
what happens is you
public is
form a line.
invited.
You form a
Yeah,
line.
public's invited, yeah.
You form a line at 1:30, and then at 2:00 they start breaking up and they start giving out. And you're supposed to bring your own bag. So
Right.
bring a big one.
Right.
With a flat
Wow.
bottom.
Like on Free
This is so
Slurpee
cool.
Day, you show up with like a
Yeah.
pail.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
my God, my son would love this.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you might as well do it. It's January 21st. It's a week from today, Monday.
Yep.
All right, and I believe that Chris, you've
What
actually
kind?
done it before, right?
I did it 2 years ago. Yeah,
And
yeah.
what
yeah.
did you get?
We got it was a Daily News reusable shopping bag, and we filled it up with gingerbread. And
Did you bring your son?
I did. Yeah, that was the hook here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm not going to be there by myself.
Yeah. and
Chris just really loves you.
yeah, right.
and how was the
Way
gingerbread?
to creep out everyone in New York
Yeah.
Science, Chris.
How is the gingerbread?
I'm sure it's delicious. I'm not a huge fan of gingerbread.
okay. So your
stuff.
son ate it all?
He ate it though. He
Yeah.
was into
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. There you
I
go.
like ginger ale.
What time is it?
So it's 2:00 on January 21st,
Which is a Monday, which everyone's
But
off- all the kids are
line
off from
starts-
school.
The line starts at,
line
at
starts-
1:30, and
the-
that's Martin Luther King
Oh,
Day.
wow.
Yeah.
It's a day off. The line
starts at
1:30,
like noon,
and
really,
people
because like
get-
people
yeah,
are there
people get
early. Yeah.
super
Yeah.
Bring your sleeping bag and sleep overnight. But
That would be fun.
yeah, it was unveiled on November 10th, so
Right.
10. So it's been up for about two months. It's time to take it down and eat it.
That's it.
So that'd be kind
awesome.
of fun. Yeah. I also wanted to mention things that are coming up. You think that in the winter birds go south, right?
I would think
I
that.
think that's
Yeah.
what
Well,
I've heard.
that's not an absolute.
Oh my God, my world is crashing
Proof
down
of the
today.
pudding in that is that there are two competing bird watch trips in Queens this weekend.
Well, I hope we don't cause any problems.
And apparently, this is the time to see hawks.
I want those bird watchers
Oh,
taking
wow.
each other out.
This is the time to see the hawks. And I was looking up this. The New York
Well,
City.
you can't see the Eagles anymore, am I right? It's a football joke, folks. Welcome.
Hawks. The New York City Department of Parks website has some pictures of hawks attacking squirrels and other stuff. that
Oh,
are
do you ever
just
watch
amazing.
Nature is Metal? That's
Yeah.
the coolest thing.
Anyway,
Where are they? Where are the hawks?
well, so on January 19th, which is Saturday,
Right.
you can go on a trek with Urban Park Rangers here in Flushing Meadow, Corona Park. You meet at the Unisphere at 11, and they will tell you all about where to look for the hawks, and they will go hawk watching. Bring your binoculars.
Well,
They'll teach you about
that's steps
binoculars.
away from me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't think there are hawks around
So
here?
there's hawks around here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, you've
I
seen
would
all the
not.
raccoons you get around
Do
here.
not take your
lot of
pet mouse for a
raccoons.
walk, right now.
Yeah, don't take your right. Don't take your pet squirrel or your pet pigeon
Right.
on a walk. The other one is at the Volker Orth Museum, which is a historical museum that we personally love.
That's right.
Out in Flushing, it has they have their own bees and they give beekeeping
Oh, that's
lessons,
nice.
and they have a Victorian
And they're all-
garden.
right.
They have a Victorian garden
Only-
that doesn't use any pesticides.
That's
They
right.
tend the garden as they did during the Victorian era.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have an educator there who's going to be giving tips and other stuff. There's also, every year there's a Great American Bird Account. Do you know about that?
No.
They do a count in February. We'll have information coming up. In February, they
For all
hire
your
people
bird-watching
all
news,
around
it's in
the
Queens
country to
Podcast.
count birds, and it's a way to test what the migrations are like and all that kind of stuff. And Queens Botanical Garden is big on that.
Yeah.
So she's also going to be talking about that and organizing for that and stuff
Cool.
like that. Yeah, so it's a lot
That's
of good,
great.
right?
This is a little birds and the bees talk without.
Birds and the
weird
bees
stuff, yeah.
without getting embarrassed. All right. Rioult, the Rioult Dance Center. What do you guys know about the Rioult? You know all about Rioult. You know Pascal
sure.
Rioult.
I do. What
Yeah.
a wonderful choreographer he is, and that's an amazing contemporary company that just put roots down in Queens.
There
and
you
opened
go.
their
Have you seen the
Astoria
space?
Dance Center. Yeah, I
Yeah?
have. It's
Yeah.
pretty
What's it
cool.
like?
Wow.
Studio space, beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
So-
a real gem. I mean, it's a really something to be proud of over there in the Kaufman Arts District area.
For
of
those who don't know,
Astoria.
Pascal Rioult is a Frenchman, came to Manhattan, started a dance company that's been they tour internationally, they're internationally recognized. They
Yes.
just moved to Astoria and built a whole
Right on,
center,
Steinway,
which has a
right?
performing space and also
Studio
classrooms
space,
and
classes,
studios.
yeah.
And so it's huge, right? And
Yeah.
they're great, because I know you had Rioult here once. I
Yes,
went
yes,
to
yes.
it.
No, they performed here
Yeah.
multiple times, including
Right.
the year that their center was opening.
Right.
And they were one of our gala performers last
Oh,
year
that's
because
right.
their work
Yes.
is just, it's
Uh-huh.
just really wonderful. And also, not that it, necessarily from the public point of view, Matt, they're lovely people. Do you know what I
Really?
mean? They're
They're-
just
Yeah.
good people.
That's
Okay.
it. Well, that's
They're
always
And
performers.
so
They
they're
don't
like
have a-
great neighbors. That's like good to have a cultural institution.
Well, that makes
you
sense,
know?
because do you know what they're doing on Sunday?
What are they doing?
They're holding an open house.
Because they're
with
generous,
free
good
classes
people.
all day
Yeah.
from noon to 8.
Yeah.
Free dance classes for anyone who wants to check it out. Children, teens, and adults.
I think that's great.
Plus, they're going to have performances, activities, pop-up shops.
That's this Sunday?
That's this Sunday, 12 to 8.
This is
Okay?
great.
You
Yeah.
see, well, you're filling up. Your weekend's filling
My
up.
Yeah.
weekend's filling up.
Monday, you're getting the
Gingerbreads?
The gingerbread.
Yeah.
Sunday, you're touring Rioult.
Yeah.
And
She might
Saturday.
stop at the Dance Theater of Harlem show as well.
Well, that's on Sunday,
Sunday,
yeah. And then Saturday, you're going to Jamaica for Performing Arts Center for the storytelling.
That's it.
All right. Oh, wait, and the Hawk Watch. How are you going to do this? The
Well, the Hawk Watch is apparently like here,
Right.
so I should just look out my window.
That's
Right.
pretty
Is
much
that?
it. You're there.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm here.
The other things worth mentioning is chamber music. Do you guys know Musica Reginae?
Yes. we talked about them
Reginae
before.
is the
Yeah.
plural. It means queens. Regina is a queens in Latin. Reginae with the E is queen. So
Got it.
Musica Reginae, Queen's music. If you know the New York, the Church in the Gardens in Forest Hills
Hills.
Gardens,
Okay.
they're a church that's really, really dedicated to music. They're just
Okay.
music lovers, music performers. A lot of the people there play music, and they also are the home base for Musica Reginae, which is basically a nonprofit that organizes musical events around Queens.
Cool.
They are hosting, and in fact, it's at the same church. They're hosting an afternoon of chamber music. I'm putting that in because that starts at 2:00, and it's an exploration of 21st century romanticism with lyrical, soaring melodies, technical virtuosity, and beautiful sonorities.
Oh, easy for you
Sonorities
to
means
say.
sounds, right? I included that kind of fun. That's at 2. At 11:00 a.m. in the same church, they're doing a community concert for kids where the people will be talking about composers, how you write music, what composers go for, a little history of composing, and they'll be
Yeah.
teaching the instruments, and the kids can come out and touch the instruments.
That's cool.
So,
That's
so
kids
it's like
love
a
that.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to one actually at that church, and it was fun. Although the kids made so much noise.
Can I see a kids performing arts class coming up for Queens Theater?
Yeah, we're going to have our summer program for kids. Showstoppers.
Nice.
We're opening registration. Yeah,
Oh,
7
very
to 20,
exciting.
7 to 12 year olds.
Ah,
There you go.
When does that
Program.
start?
I think this will be for our 4th year, maybe.
No. I mean, what month?
Oh, a
Registration.
month in July, but
So, all right,
registration's
so-
opening next month. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You got plenty of time.
We got plenty,
Plenty
of
more
time.
podcasts.
Yeah, next time one of us is out, you can come in and be the
talk about
permanent guest host / Academy promoter.
Well, just please don't pull a Joan Rivers and get your own show. And
Yeah,
then we
I
have to
know.
blackball you.
I know. I'm
Competing podcast.
getting the engineer's phone number. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say is, does everybody know Audrey
Audrey
DeMola?
DeMola,
She's been on this
Wildfire.
show. Her middle name is Wildfire. Audrey
Yeah.
Wildfire DeMola.
She runs Socrates
She's
Sculpture
she's
Park,
out of
right?
she does the events at Socrates Sculpture Park, but she's also a multi-published poet and author. You know her?
Yes,
You've
I
met
know
her.
Yeah, I've met
Yeah.
her. Yeah.
So she organizes open mic nights, and she's very sort of plugged into the poets and other people in Queens, and she has a big open mic night. Actually, it's on the 18th.
On the 18th.
Which is a Friday. So you have something to do on Friday.
There you go.
At
Absolutely.
7 o'clock at Community. I don't know if you know Community. It's in Long
know
Island City.
Community.
It's a cafe that also has performance space. Nice, not great place. It moved. It was in a different place.
Okay.
I used to go there every morning for
Was the one
breakfast
that was
with
next
my
to
daughter when
Blend?
she was at the school down there.
Oh,
It
okay.
used to be next to Blend, right?
It
And then
used to be
moved?
next to Blend,
Yeah.
and then it moved. I guess they raised the rent or something.
Yeah.
But this is she
that.
told me that this is an eclectic mix of local performers offering spoken word, poetry, music, and comedy, with opportunities for sharing.
Look at that.
Opportunities for sharing.
Nice.
She does stuff. I've seen her do stuff before, like by the fireplace at places and stuff. That's always nice, and they bring out a lot of people. And if you're into that, if you're into the spoken word, it's the
that's your
best.
spot.
And it's top notch. That's about all I have for me. But Chris, what have I missed?
I got a couple of Chris's picks this week.
Chris's picks.
Six.
So on the Creek in the Cave. Cool
Creek in
little
the
spot
Cave,
down in
which
Long
is
Island
the
City.
comedy shop.
Right. It has
Okay.
a lot of comedy and improv. 117, which is Friday, right? January 17th.
That's Thursday
Friday or Thursday?
I think that's Thursday.
Okay, so Thursday, 8 p.m., it's a show called Pig Pile. And it's a mix of stand-up, improv, video, and sketch.
Okay.
So all these different performers go down there. And I think, you can pick any day of the week and find something really interesting at the Creek in the Cave. There's
Didn't
always-
Jerry Seinfeld once do a show at the
He
Creek?
does. Colin
without
Quinn.
telling anyone,
Colin
right?
Quinn worked out his hour there.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, Chris
Peop-
Gethard. I've
people
seen him
might
do
go there
work
to practice before.
Yeah,
the-
absolutely.
I think I remember he just showed up. Jerry Seinfeld just popped in and did a show, or maybe he had it arranged before him, but he didn't tell anyone.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Terrazza 7, which is a cool
Yes,
place.
in Jackson
right
Heights,
in,
great music. Yeah.
Right. So on January 18th, Fernando Garcia, who's a percussionist, he's going to have a jazz concert there. And I didn't know this, but they also do a jazz jam on Sunday and karaoke on Monday there. So there's always something going on at
That's great.
Terrazza. And then the last thing I have is QED in Astoria, which is another cool
Yeah.
little performance space. They're doing something called, on the 17th, they're doing something called the Immigrant Jam, which is a storytelling show. You can either be an immigrant and kind of tell your story, or if you're from here, kind of tell a story about immigrants that affected you. So
okay.
I thought that was a timely piece for
Yeah, when
today's
is that
day and age.
again?
That's January 17th, which is Thursday.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, that all sounds good. Immigrant Jam. What about the
Immigrant
immigrant
Jam.
jelly?
Wow.
What I like, oh my gosh. What I like,
I never promised good humor.
what I like about the It's in Queens podcast, I love that you guys go into all pockets and all different kinds of institutions and different neighborhoods, and you guys do a great job of that.
Thank you. But we already
Yeah.
hired you as our permanent guest.
Yeah, you're in. You
You
don't,
can tell us what you really
you
think.
don't need
I'm
to.
gonna elbow you out of here.
That's
you
all
look
for
like
me.
you need a vacation.
Okay. I'll go from Tuesday to Sunday, so I don't miss my podcast.
Look at that.
Maybe we'll do a live podcast from the beach in
Oh
Puerto
my God.
Rico,
I
or
like
Dominican
that.
Republic.
The Rockaways.
The Rockaways.
Rockaways.
Keep it in Queens. That's right.
Everyone, I'm Rob Mackay. I didn't say it at the beginning. I'm Rob Mackay from the Queens Economic Development Corporation and the Queens Tourism Council. Thank you very much
Make sure
for
everything's
putting up with us
right.
yet another week. And I certainly hope to see you in the borough this weekend.
And check everything is correct on the It's in Queens website,
Yeah,
because in
that's
case
right.
we
Don't
get some,
listen to us.
right? Just in case we get some dates and times
The
wrong.
website does care about the facts.
Everything
Yes, about the
factual website,
And also follow us on hashtag It's in Queens.
and follow the Queens Theater and
What's your
queenstheater.org.
hashtag?
My hashtag?
Yeah.
Well, Queens Theater's
Queens
hashtag.
Theater.
Hashtag Queens Theater with an
Hashtag
R-E.
Queens Theater with an
Queens
R-E.
Theatre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Personally, I don't have a hashtag. Queens Theater, yeah.
Okay.
hashtag
What's your pronoun?
She, her.
Okay.
It.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and hope to see you